America just called off their next wave of attacks on Iran because they were about to backfire massively. But what they're doing instead will shock you. Well, a few moments ago, the US President Trump announced that he is delaying the planned attacks against Iran's national power grid. In fact, he's delaying them nearly 2 weeks, and this sends us a clear message, and you need to know what that is. But so this makes sense, I'm going to bring you back to Sunday, 4 days ago, when Trump made an offer to Iran. He said that if Iran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, then the US will go in and blow up Iran's nuclear facilities. Not only that, he said, quote, "We will start with the biggest one first." If the US carried out those attacks they said they would, it would be by far the biggest attacks of the war so far, meaning it would be met with the biggest response of the war by Iran as well. In fact, just 24 hours after Trump gave Iran 48 hours, Iran fired back with a crazy statement. They said, "We are not going to reopen the Strait of Hormuz as you demand. But if you bomb us, we will attack the water desalination facilities." Those are the facilities that provide clean drinking water to tens of millions of people in the Middle East. Basically, if the US bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, tens of millions of people would be left without drinking water. That can't happen. So Trump came out and said, "We're going to push back at that 48-hour deadline and give you another 72 hours. It was clear why he did that. He said they were having talks with Iran, when in reality, they just didn't want those water facilities to be bombed. And now, almost 72 hours later, Trump has pushed back that deadline even more, another 10 days to April the 6th. The official reason is that the US is having productive, good talks with Iran, and so it wouldn't make sense to carry out the biggest attacks of the war so far. Trump today said, quote, "Despite statements to the contrary, the talks are going very well." And to be fair, Iran has admitted that they are talking to the US now, and they are talking about peace. We don't know if the peace will happen, however, now that both sides are confirmed to be talking with each other, it's more likely. And so, maybe there will be peace before April the 6th, when the US says they'll carry out attacks onto Iran's nuclear facilities. Of course, if there isn't, the US will probably just push back those attacks even more, like they have the last 2 times now, because the response by Iran bombing the water facilities would have a much bigger impact on the world. Millions of people could die, and that's something the US would not want to be the cause of. But as we approach April the 6th, the deadline of these attacks, when the US is planned to carry out those attacks, leave me a follow because I'm going to keep you up to date on this and everything that happens between then.